Have you ever wondered what it really takes to live a happy life? Don't worry, you're not alone. In a world obsessed with chasing goals, material things and people, it's easy to forget the basics. Everyone talks about happiness, but who actually tells you how to get there without selling some false dream? Relax, because today we're going to cut through the noise and share what psychology and Stoic philosophy can teach us about happiness. Spoiler alert, it's in the little things we ignore every day. Laugh more, get outside, wake up early, and please turn off your phone once in a while. Stick with us to discover why science and ancient wisdom are still teaching us valuable lessons in the 21st century. But first, let me tell you a story to help frame the wisdom in today's content. There was once a young man named Mark who lived in a quiet valley. Even though he had plenty of material possessions and his life seemed perfect, from the outside, he always felt like something was missing. One day, Mark decided to embark on a journey to discover the true secret to happiness. Along his journey, he met a wise old man who lived in a small cabin on a hill. After talking for hours, the old man shared 3 essential pieces of advice for living a happy life. He said, "To be happy, you don't need more stuff or power. There are 3 simple things you need to practice: gratitude, acceptance, and love." Mark was puzzled but listened carefully. The old man continued, "Gratitude is the first. If you don't appreciate what you already have, you'll never have enough. Be thankful for every little moment, every breath. Second is acceptance. Life will always have ups and downs. If you learn to accept things as they are, without trying to control everything, you'll find peace in the chaos. And third is love. Love what you do. Love the people around you. And most importantly, love yourself. Only when your heart is full of love can you truly radiate happiness to others and receive it back." As Mark began practicing gratitude, accepting life's changes, and loving more deeply, he realized that his search for happiness was over. It wasn't something he had to find outside, but something to cultivate from within. His friends in the valley noticed the change in him, and when they asked him the secret to his transformation, Mark simply replied, "Happiness isn't a destination, it's the journey. If you live with gratitude, acceptance, and love, you'll discover that happiness has been within you all along." Now, before we dive into the first lesson, if you find these videos helpful, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Ready to change your life? Let's get started. 1. Laugh. More. Have you ever noticed how we often make life much more complicated than it needs to be? We treat almost everything with extreme seriousness, as if there's a global competition for who can frown the hardest. We get so caught up in our daily responsibilities, stressors, and struggles that we forget to let go, relax, and laugh. But here's the thing. Science and ancient wisdom both agree that laughter isn't just a feel-good action. It's actually an essential tool for maintaining your well-being, both mentally and physically. Let's rewind a bit to the Stoics, the original masters of staying calm under pressure. At first glance, they might not seem like the kind of people who would embrace laughter. After all, their philosophy focuses on discipline, self-control, and maintaining your composure no matter what life throws your way. But even the Stoics knew the importance of keeping a light heart in the face of adversity. Epictetus, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, famously said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them." While this quote may seem like a serious piece of advice about controlling your emotions, it also opens the door to something else: How you choose to react to life's challenges can either weigh you down or set you free. And laughter is one of the best ways to free yourself from the heaviness of stress. Laughter might seem like a small, insignificant act, but it's incredibly powerful. When we laugh, our brains release a cocktail of feel-good chemicals like endorphins and serotonin, which help us cope with pain and elevate our mood. On top of that, laughter actually reduces the amount of cortisol and adrenaline in our system. These two hormones are the ones that surge when we're stressed, putting us in a state of fight or flight. By laughing, we lower their levels, which in turn reduces the physical effects of stress on our bodies. Essentially, laughter is like hitting the reset button on our nervous system. It calms us down, makes us feel more in control, and even helps us sleep better. Imagine life as a roller coaster, full of unexpected twists, sudden drops, and the occasional heart-pounding moment that makes you question everything. When you laugh, it's like fastening the safety harness on that roller coaster ride. It doesn't make the ups and downs disappear, but it helps you feel secure and able to handle whatever comes next. This is exactly what laughter does for our emotions. It acts as a buffer, helping us bounce back from stressful situations with a sense of resilience. Dr. Lee Burke from Loma Linda University conducted extensive research on the effects of laughter on the human body. What he found was pretty amazing. Laughter works like a natural stress reliever. His studies showed that even a few moments of genuine laughter could lower blood pressure, boost the immune system, and reduce the production of stress hormones. In other words, laughter isn't just a quick fix for a bad mood. It's a long-term strategy for protecting your health. But what if you don't feel like laughing? What if the pressures of daily life make it hard to find joy or humor in anything? Here's where the Stoic mindset comes in again. Stoicism teaches us that while we can't always control the external events in our lives, we can control how we respond to them. Choosing to laugh, even in tough situations, is a form of control. It's a conscious decision to look for the lighter side of life, to not let hardships drag us down completely. And don't worry, laughter isn't just for those who have a naturally great sense of humor. Anyone can benefit from it. In fact, research has shown that even forced laughter, like in laughter yoga or therapy, can have the same positive effects on the brain and body as spontaneous laughter. In a study published by the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine, cancer patients who participated in laughter therapy reported feeling less depressed, more hopeful, and better equipped to face their challenges. Think about that for a second. People going through one of the toughest battles of their lives found relief and strength in laughter. If they can, so can you. So how can you incorporate more laughter into your daily life? Start small. Don't wait for the perfect joke or a hilarious movie. Instead, find humor in the little things. Laugh at your own mistakes. Laugh at the absurdity of certain situations. Laugh at the memes your friends send you, even if they're not that funny. The key is to let yourself experience joy and amusement as often as possible. Every time you laugh, you're training your brain to focus on the positive and let go of the negative, even if just for a moment. Let's put it into perspective. Say you're stuck in traffic, late for an important meeting. You can either sit there, fuming at the cars in front of you, or you can laugh at the ridiculousness of the situation. Maybe turn on a funny podcast or think about something that made you smile earlier in the day. By choosing laughter, you take control of the situation. Sure, it won't get you to your meeting any faster, but it will reduce the stress and frustration that come with feeling helpless. Laughter isn't just a way to pass the time or fill awkward silences. It's a tool. a skill you can develop over time to help you navigate life's inevitable ups and downs. And it doesn't take much. Even just a few minutes a day of genuine laughter can do wonders for your mental and physical health. So the next time life feels a little too heavy, remember that laughter is a choice. It's a tool that's always within your reach, ready to help you lighten your load. And as the ancient saying goes, laughter is the best medicine, even when it feels like the world is giving you nothing to smile about. Don't underestimate the power of a good laugh. It might just be the key to living a happier, healthier, and more balanced life. 2. Get outside and connect with nature. Think about your typical day for a second. How much of it do you spend indoors, surrounded by screens, artificial lighting, and recycled air? Modern life has this weird way of keeping us trapped inside. We're glued to our phones, locked into our desks, and by the time the day ends, it can feel like we haven't experienced the world at all. But here's the thing. Humans weren't designed to live this way. For centuries, we thrived by being outdoors, connected with nature, and living in sync with the natural rhythms of the earth. So why have we moved so far away from that? The Stoics believed in aligning ourselves with nature. In fact, one of the core principles of Stoicism is living in harmony with the natural world. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished." This means that nature has its own pace, its own way of functioning, and when we align ourselves with it, life becomes more peaceful and balanced. But how do we reconnect with nature when our modern lives seem designed to keep us away from it? Let's start with the simple act of going outside. It might sound trivial, but spending time in nature, whether that's a park, a beach, or even your own backyard, has profound effects on your mental and physical health. Numerous studies have shown that being outdoors can lower stress levels, improve mood, and even boost creativity. According to a study published in Environmental Health Perspectives, spending just 20 minutes in a natural setting can significantly reduce cortisol levels, the hormone that's responsible for stress. Think about that. 20 minutes of fresh air, sunlight, and greenery can have more impact on your stress than most relaxation techniques. It's no wonder that people who live near parks or forests tend to be healthier and report higher levels of happiness than those who live in more urban environments. Now you might be thinking, "I'm too busy to go outside every day," or "I live in the city, where can I even find nature?" But reconnecting with nature doesn't have to mean going on a week-long camping trip or hiking through a forest, though if you can do that, even better. It can be as simple as taking a walk around your neighborhood, finding a park bench to sit on for a few minutes, or even just opening your windows to let in fresh air and natural light. The goal is to break the monotony of indoor life and give your mind and body a chance to reset. There's a term for this: forest bathing. Originating in Japan, it's the practice of spending time in the forest to improve health and well-being. Studies have shown that forest bathing can lower blood pressure, improve immune function, and increase energy levels. And here's the best part: you don't need an actual forest to benefit from it. The same principles apply when you're simply surrounded by trees, plants, or even just natural elements like water or wind. When was the last time you felt a real connection to the earth? When did you last feel the breeze on your face, hear the rustling of leaves, or smell freshly cut grass? These might sound like small, insignificant things, but they can have a huge impact on your mood and overall well-being. Nature has a way of grounding us, reminding us of the bigger picture. It helps put our worries and stresses into perspective. After all, how big can your problems seem when you're standing next to a towering tree that's been alive for hundreds of years. And let's not forget about the physical benefits of being outside. The simple act of walking outdoors, especially in green spaces, has been linked to lower levels of depression, anxiety, and even chronic pain. According to research from Stanford University, walking in nature reduces rumination, the negative, repetitive thoughts that often contribute to mental health issues like depression. By getting outside, you're not just exercising your body, you're also giving your mind a much-needed break from the pressures of everyday life. The Stoics understood that spending time in nature was essential to maintaining balance. They believed that nature was the ultimate teacher, showing us how to live with patience, resilience, and acceptance. When you're outside, you see life happening in real time. The changing seasons, the growth of plants, the flow of rivers. It's all a reminder that everything in life has a natural rhythm, and when we tap into that rhythm, we find peace. So, how can you start connecting with nature today? It doesn't have to be complicated. Start small. Set aside a few minutes each day to step outside, breathe in fresh air, and observe the world around you. If you have a park nearby, make it a point to walk through it regularly. If you live in the city, find a rooftop or a garden where you can escape the hustle and bustle, even if just for a few moments. The key is to make this a habit, something you look forward to every day. And here's the best part. The more time you spend in nature, the more you'll crave it. You'll start noticing things you've never paid attention to before, the way the sunlight filters through the leaves, the sound of birds in the morning, the feeling of grass under your feet. These small moments can bring a sense of calm and joy that's hard to find anywhere else. In conclusion, nature is not just a backdrop to our busy lives, it's a crucial part of our well-being. The Stoics knew this, and modern science confirms it. By reconnecting with the natural world, we can reduce stress, improve our mood, and find balance in an increasingly chaotic world. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, remember, the solution might be as simple as stepping outside and letting nature do its thing. 3. Be a morning person. Let's be honest, mornings don't have the best reputation. For many people, waking up early feels like a form of punishment. The alarm blares, pulling you out of the warmth of your bed, and all you can think about is how much you'd rather hit snooze and sleep in. And who can blame you? Modern life has conditioned us to stay up late, binge-watch shows, and squeeze every last bit of relaxation out of the night. But what if I told you that becoming a morning person could be one of the best decisions you make for your happiness, health, and overall sense of well-being? Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm just not a morning person. That's a common belief. But here's the good news. Waking up early is more of a habit than a genetic trait. And once you make the shift, the benefits are undeniable. The Stoics, who placed great emphasis on discipline and self-control, understood the value of starting the day early. Marcus Aurelius himself said, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do?" This Stoic mindset highlights the idea that mornings are not just about waking up to face another day of obligations. They're an opportunity to embrace your purpose. By waking up early, you set the tone for the rest of your day. You take control rather than letting the day control you. Science backs this up. Studies have shown that early risers tend to be more optimistic, more proactive, and less likely to experience stress. A study conducted by researchers at the University of Toronto found that people who wake up earlier report higher levels of positive emotions and overall life satisfaction. They also tend to be healthier, with lower risks of conditions like obesity and depression. In other words, waking up early isn't just a nice idea. It's a proven way to boost your mental and physical health. One of the key reasons why waking up early is so beneficial is that it gives you time. Think about it. When you wake up before the world does, you have those precious quiet moments to yourself. No emails, no phone calls, no rush. Just you and your thoughts. It's the perfect time for reflection, planning, or even just enjoying a cup of coffee while the world outside is still asleep. This quiet time allows you to set your intentions for the day, making you more focused and productive when things get busy later on. Another benefit of waking up early is that it aligns you with your body's natural rhythms. Our bodies are wired to follow a circadian rhythm, which is essentially an internal clock that regulates when we feel awake and when we feel sleepy. By going to bed earlier and waking up with the sun, you're working in harmony with this natural rhythm. This not only makes you feel more energized, but also improves the quality of your sleep. It's important to note that becoming a morning person doesn't mean you have to suddenly start waking up at 5 a.m. every day. The key is to gradually adjust your schedule in a way that feels natural to you. Start by going to bed 15 minutes earlier than usual and waking up 15 minutes earlier in the morning. Over time, you'll find that waking up early becomes a habit, one that you actually look forward to. But what do you do with all that extra time in the morning? This is where you can really start to see the benefits of being an early riser. Use those quiet hours to do things that are important to you, but often get pushed aside during the busy day. Maybe it's working out, meditating, journaling, or even just sitting in silence to gather your thoughts. The Stoics believed in the power of reflection, and the early morning is the perfect time for it. As Seneca said, "The mind must be given relaxation. It will rise improved and sharper after a good break." One thing that can help you get out of bed in the morning is having something to look forward to. This doesn't have to be anything big. Maybe it's the simple pleasure of enjoying a peaceful breakfast, going for a walk, or starting the day with a good book. Having a positive reason to get up can make those early hours feel like a reward rather than a chore. Now, I know mornings can be tough at first. You might feel groggy or sluggish as you adjust to your new schedule, but stick with it. Over time, your body will adapt and you'll start to notice the benefits. You'll have more energy, feel more in control of your day, and experience less stress. And the best part, you'll have more time to do the things that matter to you without the constant rush of everyday life. Let's not forget the practical side of being a morning person either. When you wake up early, you're ahead of the game. You have time to get organized, tackle tasks, and even handle potential problems before they escalate. Instead of feeling like you're constantly playing catch-up, you'll find yourself in a proactive mindset, ready to take on the challenges of the day with confidence. In conclusion, becoming a morning person isn't about being perfect or following a strict schedule. It's about creating space in your day for the things that bring you joy and fulfillment. By waking up early, you give yourself the gift of time. Time to reflect, time to grow, and time to live with intention. So, tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off, try resisting the urge to hit snooze. Instead, embrace the quiet, peaceful start to the day and watch how it transforms your life. 4. Pack your days with plans. Have you ever noticed how some days seem to fly by while others drag on forever? It's a curious thing. how time can feel so different depending on how we fill it. We've all experienced those lazy weekends where we had nothing planned, and by Sunday night, we're left wondering where the time went. On the flip side, days that are packed with activities and plans often feel more fulfilling, as if we've truly made the most of our time. But here's the key. It's not just about being busy for the sake of it. It's about filling your days with purposeful, meaningful plans that add value to your life. The Stoics had a lot to say about time. Seneca, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, famously warned about the dangers of wasting time. In his essay, On the Shortness of Life, he wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." The Stoics believed that time was one of our most valuable resources, and that we should use it wisely, with intention and purpose. But how do we do that in today's fast-paced world, where it's so easy to get distracted or overwhelmed? Let's start by considering what it means to pack your day. We're not talking about filling every minute with mindless tasks or running yourself ragged with never-ending to-do lists. Instead, it's about being intentional with your time, planning activities that bring you joy, fulfillment, and growth. It's about creating a balance between productivity and spontaneity, making room for both structured plans and unexpected opportunities. Think of your time like a bank account. Every day, you're given a limited amount of hours, and it's up to you how you spend them. Some people save their time by doing nothing, thinking they're preserving their energy or avoiding stress. But in reality, time that isn't spent with purpose is often time wasted. The Stoics would argue that we should be investing our time wisely, spending it on activities that nourish our minds, bodies, and relationships. Studies have shown that people who plan their days tend to feel more satisfied with how they spend their time. According to research published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology, people who engage in goal setting and planning report higher levels of happiness and a greater sense of control over their lives. This is because having a plan gives us a sense of direction. When you know what you want to accomplish, it's easier to stay focused, motivated, and on track. But let's be clear, this isn't about turning your life into a rigid schedule. It's important to leave room for spontaneity and relaxation too. In fact, overscheduling yourself can lead to burnout, which is the opposite of what we're aiming for. The goal is to find a balance. By planning your day with intention, you give yourself the freedom to enjoy each moment, rather than feeling like time is slipping away. So, how can you start packing your days with purposeful plans? First, take a step back and think about what really matters to you. What are the activities that bring you joy? What are the things you've been meaning to do, but keep putting off? Maybe it's spending time with family, working on a personal project, exercising, or learning something new. Whatever it is, make a commitment to prioritize these activities. Write them down, schedule them into your day, and treat them with the same importance as you would a work meeting or appointment. One powerful way to approach this is by breaking your day into chunks. For example, you could dedicate the first part of your day to your most important tasks when your mind is fresh and focused. Then, set aside time in the afternoon for more creative or social activities. By structuring your day in this way, you ensure that you're making time for both productivity and enjoyment. Another tip is to set small, achievable goals for each day. This helps you stay on track and gives you a sense of accomplishment as you check things off your list. But remember, these goals don't have to be monumental. Even something as simple as going for a walk, calling a friend, or reading for 20 minutes can make a big difference in how you feel about your day. The key is to make sure that each day includes activities that align with your values and bring you closer to your personal goals. The Stoics believed that we should approach each day as an opportunity to grow and improve ourselves. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "At day's first light, have in readiness against disinclination to leave your bed, the thought that I am rising for the work of man." This idea of rising with purpose is central to the Stoic philosophy. Each day is a chance to become better, wiser, and more fulfilled, but only if we use our time wisely. Of course, life doesn't always go according to plan. There will be days when things don't go as expected, when your carefully crafted schedule gets thrown out the window, and that's okay. The beauty of Stoicism is that it teaches us to accept what we cannot control and to adapt. If your plans get derailed, don't stress, just adjust. The important thing is to stay flexible and focus on what you can do with the time you have left. At the end of the day, packing your life with plans isn't about being busy. It's about being mindful of how you spend your time. It's about making sure that your days are filled with meaning, growth, and joy. And when you do that, you'll find that time seems to expand rather than slip away. So, take a moment to reflect on how you're spending your time. Are you filling your days with purpose, or are you letting them slip by in a blur of distractions? Remember, time is one of your most valuable resources. Use it wisely, and you'll find that your days feel fuller, richer, and more satisfying. As the Stoics remind us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. 5. Don't quit on what you love. How many times have you thought about giving up on something you love just because it felt hard? Maybe it was a hobby you enjoyed, a project you were passionate about, or even a career path that once made you excited. Somewhere along the way, though, things got tough, life got busy, and you started wondering if it was really worth the effort to keep going. But here's the thing. Quitting on what you love doesn't just mean abandoning a passion. It means denying yourself one of the greatest sources of fulfillment and happiness. The Stoics had a lot to say about perseverance, and it's easy to see why. Life, they believed, was full of challenges, obstacles, and setbacks. But they also believed that the key to a fulfilling life was not in avoiding difficulty, but in pushing through it. As Seneca put it, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare that things are difficult." In other words, the things you love are worth fighting for, even when they seem out of reach. So, why do we quit on the things we love? More often than not, it's because we get discouraged. Maybe you've hit a rough patch, or maybe progress is slower than you'd like. It's easy to feel like you're not getting anywhere, especially in a world that demands instant results. But here's the truth. Anything worth doing takes time, effort, and persistence. The Stoics would remind us that the path to greatness is not a straight line. It's full of twists, turns, and unexpected challenges, and that's exactly why you shouldn't give up. Think about a time when you stuck with something you loved, even when it got hard. Maybe it was learning to play an instrument, writing a book, or training for a marathon. There were probably moments when you wanted to quit, when it seemed like you'd never get better or finish. But by pushing through, you not only accomplished something great, you also grew as a person. Perseverance teaches us patience, resilience, and discipline, and these qualities are essential for leading a meaningful life. There's also a scientific side to this. Research has shown that people who stick with their passions tend to be happier and more satisfied with their lives. According to a study published in the Journal of Positive Psychology, Individuals who engage in passion-driven activities experience greater levels of well-being, lower levels of stress, and a stronger sense of purpose. This is because doing what you love taps into a deep well of intrinsic motivation. It's something you do for the joy of it, not because someone else told you to, or because you're chasing an external reward. The problem is, we often get caught up in the idea that if something isn't easy, it's not worth it. But the Stoics teach us the opposite. They believed that struggle and hardship are an inevitable part of life, and that true happiness comes from overcoming these challenges. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This famous Stoic quote reminds us that obstacles aren't roadblocks, they're stepping stones. The very things that make a task difficult are what help us grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. So, how do you keep going when the going gets tough? The first step is to remember why you started in the first place. What drew you to this passion? What was it about this hobby, project, or career that made you feel alive? Reconnect with that initial spark of excitement. Sometimes, when we lose sight of the bigger picture, we get bogged down by the day-to-day frustrations. But when you remind yourself of the joy that comes from doing what you love, it becomes easier to push through the hard parts. Another important thing to remember is that progress doesn't always look the way we expect it to. You might not see results right away, and that's okay. The Stoics believed in focusing on the process rather than the outcome. They understood that we can't always control the results of our efforts, but we can control how much effort we put in. Instead of worrying about whether or not you're succeeding in the traditional sense, focus on showing up and doing the work. The progress will come, even if it's not immediately visible. Think of it like planting a tree. At first, you can't see any growth above the ground, but that doesn't mean nothing's happening. Beneath the surface, roots are spreading, establishing a foundation that will eventually support a towering tree. The same goes for your passions. The effort you put in today might not show immediate results, but it's building a foundation for future success. Of course, there are times when quitting might seem like the easier option. Maybe you're exhausted, frustrated, or feeling like you're not cut out for this particular challenge. But before you throw in the towel, ask yourself this: will you regret giving up? Often, the answer is yes. The things we love have a way of staying with us, even when we walk away from them. If you're passionate about something, quitting will only leave you with a sense of what could have been. The Stoics would argue that this regret is far worse than the discomfort of pushing through a tough time. If you find yourself feeling overwhelmed, take a step back and break the challenge down into smaller, manageable parts. Instead of focusing on the entire journey ahead, just focus on the next step. What's the one thing you can do today to move closer to your goal? Maybe it's practicing for 10 minutes, writing a single page, or completing one small task. By focusing on these small wins, you'll build momentum and make progress without feeling overwhelmed. At the end of the day, don't forget that doing what you love is a privilege. Not everyone has the opportunity to pursue their passions, and if you do, it's worth holding on to. The Stoics believed that life was about more than just survival. It was about thriving, growing, and becoming the best version of yourself. And that can only happen when you stick with what you love, even when it's hard. So, whatever it is you're passionate about, don't give up on it. Keep going, even when it feels difficult. Remember that every obstacle is an opportunity to grow, and that the things you love are worth fighting for. As Seneca reminds us, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare that things are difficult. Dare to keep going, and you'll discover that the rewards are far greater than the challenges. 6. Go for kindness. In a world where it often feels like everyone is in a rush, stressed out, or too focused on their own lives, kindness can seem like an outdated concept. It's easy to overlook the power of a kind word, a simple gesture, or just taking a moment to connect with someone else. But the truth is, kindness is one of the most powerful tools we have for improving not only the lives of others, but also our own. And while it may seem small, choosing to be kind can make a huge impact on your happiness and the way you navigate the world. The Stoics were big believers in the power of kindness. They understood that while we can't control the actions of others, we can always control how we respond. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "Kindness is invincible, but only when it's sincere, with no hypocrisy or faking." What Aurelius meant is that kindness isn't just about doing nice things for people. It's about approaching life with a genuine, sincere desire to be a force for good. When you choose to be kind, no one can take that away from you. It's a strength, not a weakness. So why is kindness so important? For one, it's contagious. When you're kind to someone, it creates a ripple effect. Maybe you compliment someone, or offer help when they're struggling, or just smile at a stranger. That small act can lift their mood, and in turn, they're more likely to pass that positivity on to someone else. This is called the kindness contagion effect, and studies have shown that when people witness or receive acts of kindness, they're more likely to pay it forward. In fact, research conducted at the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, found that kindness has a profound impact on both the giver and the receiver. People who engage in kind acts experience a boost in mood, reduced stress levels, and even improved physical health. On the flip side, those who receive kindness are more likely to report feelings of gratitude and happiness, which can improve their relationships and overall well-being. But here's the best part. Kindness is a habit that anyone can build. It doesn't take much effort, and the rewards are immense. The Stoics would argue that being kind is part of our duty as human beings. They believed in the interconnectedness of all people, that we are all part of the same universal community. As Epictetus once said, we are all brothers and sisters by nature. Our bodies and souls are bound together by a shared divine spark. This Stoic idea reminds us that kindness isn't just about being nice to the people we know and like. It's about recognizing our shared humanity and treating everyone with respect and compassion. So how can you incorporate more kindness into your life? It starts with being mindful of how you interact with others. We all have moments where we're distracted, stressed, or impatient, and in those moments, it's easy to snap at someone or ignore an opportunity to be kind. But if you can slow down and become more aware of your interactions, you'll find that there are countless chances to spread kindness every day. For example, think about the last time someone did something that irritated you. Maybe they cut you off in traffic or were rude at the grocery store. Your first reaction might be frustration or anger, but what if you chose kindness instead? What if you let it go or even smiled at them? The Stoics believed that we can't control how other people behave, but we can always control our response. Choosing kindness in these moments not only diffuses tension, but it also helps you stay calm and centered. Another way to practice kindness is by actively looking for opportunities to help others. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Something as simple as holding the door open for someone, helping a neighbor carry their groceries, or sending an encouraging text to a friend can make a big difference. These small acts of kindness add up, and over time, they'll become second nature. And the best part, the more you practice kindness, the better you'll feel. Science backs this up. Engaging in acts of kindness has been shown to release oxytocin, often called the love hormone, which helps to lower blood pressure, reduce stress, and promote feelings of warmth and connection. The Stoics were also big proponents of gratitude, which is closely tied to kindness. When you're kind to others, you're acknowledging the good in your own life and the world around you. It's a reminder that no matter what challenges you're facing, there's always an opportunity to make someone else's day a little brighter. Seneca, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, wrote, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." This simple truth highlights how kindness is always within our reach. It's a choice we can make at any time, in any situation. Of course, being kind doesn't mean being a pushover or letting people take advantage of you. The Stoics were firm believers in maintaining boundaries and standing up for yourself when necessary. Kindness, when practiced sincerely, comes from a place of strength, not weakness. It's about acting with integrity and compassion without expecting anything in return. And this is what makes it so powerful. When you're kind, you're doing something that's fully within your control. No matter what's going on around you, kindness is always an option. In a world that can sometimes feel harsh and unforgiving, kindness is a way to reclaim your sense of agency. It reminds you that even in the face of negativity, you have the power to make a positive impact. And that impact isn't limited to the people around you. It also affects your own happiness and well-being. By choosing kindness, you're creating a life filled with meaning, connection, and joy. So, as you move through your day, remember that every interaction is an opportunity for kindness. Whether it's with a friend, a co-worker, or a stranger, you have the power to brighten someone's day. And in doing so, you'll find that your own life becomes richer and more fulfilling. As Marcus Aurelius said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love, and to be kind." 7. Say yes. More often. How often do you find yourself saying no to life? It's easy to get caught up in the routine of things, turning down invitations or opportunities just because they push us out of our comfort zone. Maybe you've been invited to a party, but you'd rather stay home. Or perhaps you've been offered a new project at work, but it feels like too much of a challenge. While there's nothing wrong with setting boundaries, constantly saying no might be closing doors to experiences that could bring joy, growth, and a sense of adventure into your life. The Stoics didn't shy away from challenges or new experiences. They believed that life was meant to be lived fully, and that growth often comes from stepping into the unknown. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is a reminder that we can't control the opportunities life throws our way, but we can control how we respond. Saying yes to life doesn't mean you have to accept every single opportunity, but it does mean being open to new possibilities and adventures, even when they seem intimidating or unfamiliar. Why is it so hard to say yes sometimes? For many people, it's because stepping out of their routine feels uncomfortable or scary. We get used to the familiar, the predictable, and the safe. But the truth is, growth rarely happens in comfort zones. The Stoics understood that discomfort is a natural part of life, and avoiding it only leads to stagnation. By saying yes more often, you give yourself the chance to learn, grow, and experience life in new and exciting ways. Take a moment to think about the last time you said no to something because it made you feel a little uneasy. Maybe it was an invitation to an event where you didn't know many people, or an opportunity to try something new like a hobby or a fitness class. What if you had said yes instead? Chances are you might have had an interesting conversation, learned a new skill, or at least walked away with a good story to tell. Saying yes opens the door to possibilities that no can never offer. There's also a psychological aspect to this. Research has shown that trying new things and saying yes to experiences releases dopamine in the brain. Dopamine is the chemical associated with pleasure, motivation, and reward. In other words, the very act of stepping out of your comfort zone can make you feel happier and more fulfilled. When you say yes to new experiences, you're not just expanding your horizons, you're also giving your brain a boost of positivity. Now, this doesn't mean you have to say yes to everything. Boundaries are important, and it's okay to turn down things that don't align with your values or priorities. But if you find that you're saying no out of habit, fear, or laziness, it might be time to reconsider. Life is full of opportunities, and many of them only come around once. By saying yes, you're embracing the unknown and opening yourself up to the potential for growth, adventure, and happiness. The Stoics believed that we should approach life with openness and curiosity. Marcus Aurelius, in his famous Meditations, wrote, "Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look." This quote reminds us that we are often stronger and more capable than we think. By saying yes to new experiences, we tap into that inner strength and discover what we're truly capable of. Saying yes can also improve your relationships. How many times have you turned down an invitation from a friend or family member because you were too tired, too busy, or just not in the mood? While it's important to take care of yourself, constantly saying no can create distance between you and the people you care about. Relationships thrive on shared experiences, and by saying yes to spending time with others, you're strengthening those bonds and creating lasting memories. Imagine this. Your friend invites you to a gathering where you don't know anyone. Your first instinct might be to decline. After all, who wants to be the awkward person at a party? But what if you said yes instead? You might meet someone new, discover a shared interest, or just have a fun night out. The point is, you'll never know what's possible unless you give it a try. The same goes for opportunities at work or in your personal life. Maybe you've been asked to take on a new project or learn a new skill, but you're hesitant because it feels like too much of a challenge. The Stoics would tell you to embrace that challenge. They believed that adversity is not something to be avoided, but something to be embraced. As Epictetus said, difficulties are things that show a person what they are. When you say yes to challenges, you're giving yourself the chance to grow, learn, and develop new strengths. Of course, saying yes doesn't mean things will always go smoothly. You might try something new and fail. You might attend an event and feel out of place. But that's okay. The Stoics remind us that it's not the outcome that matters, it's the effort. By saying yes, you're engaging with life in a way that's proactive and adventurous. And even if things don't go as planned, you'll have learned something valuable along the way. One of the great benefits of saying yes more often is that it builds confidence. The more you step outside of your comfort zone, the more you realize that you're capable of handling whatever life throws your way. Each new experience, whether it's a success or a failure, adds to your personal growth. Over time, you'll find that you're more willing to take risks, try new things, and embrace change with confidence and excitement. In conclusion, saying yes more often is about embracing life's opportunities with an open heart and mind. It's about stepping out of your comfort zone and allowing yourself to grow through new experiences. The Stoics believed that life was meant to be lived fully, and that means being willing to take risks, face challenges, and say yes to the unknown. So, the next time an opportunity comes your way, whether it's big or small, pause before you automatically say no. Ask yourself, what could I gain from this? How might this experience help me grow? You might just find that saying yes leads to a richer, more fulfilling life. 8. Turn off your phone. Sometimes, how often do you find yourself glued to your phone? You might be checking emails, scrolling through social media, or just killing time with a game. But before you know it, hours have passed, and you've barely noticed the world around you. In today's hyper-connected world, our phones have become an extension of ourselves. While technology brings countless benefits, the constant stream of notifications, messages, and distractions can rob us of something far more valuable: our presence in the moment. The simple act of turning off your phone can be a radical yet effective way to reclaim your time, focus, and well-being. The Stoics didn't have smartphones, but they understood the importance of being fully present. They believed that distraction was one of the greatest obstacles to living a good life. As Seneca once said, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." In other words, when our attention is divided, we aren't truly experiencing anything fully. And this is exactly what happens when we're constantly attached to our phones. We miss out on the richness of the present moment, on genuine interactions with the people around us, and even on the peace that comes with solitude. So, why is it so hard to turn off our phones? For many people, it's because phones have become a source of comfort, entertainment, and even validation. We check our phones out of habit, looking for the next bit of information or distraction to fill the silence. But while this constant connection might feel good in the short term, it often leads to increased stress, anxiety, and a sense of being overwhelmed. A study published in the Journal of Behavioral Addictions found that excessive smartphone use is linked to higher levels of anxiety, depression, and sleep disturbances. The constant need to stay connected, to be in the loop, can take a toll on both mental and physical health. The solution? Turn it off. It's that simple. By intentionally disconnecting from your phone, even for short periods, you give yourself the gift of uninterrupted time. This time can be used for reflection, creativity, or simply to enjoy the present moment without distraction. Think of it as a digital detox, a break from the noise and busyness of the online world. Now, let's be clear, this isn't about demonizing technology. Smartphones are incredibly useful tools, and they've made our lives more convenient in many ways. The problem arises when we become so dependent on them that they start to control us, rather than the other way around. The Stoics believed that we should always aim to control what's within our power, and that includes how we use technology. Instead of letting your phone dictate your attention, take charge and decide when and how you want to use it. One of the most effective ways to start is by setting specific times during the day when you turn off your phone. For example, try turning it off during meals, when you're spending time with loved ones, or before bed. This allows you to fully engage in the present moment without the constant temptation to check your screen. Over time, you'll find that these moments of disconnection become something you look forward to, an opportunity to recharge and refocus. Another powerful practice is to have phone-free periods throughout the day. These can be as short as 15 minutes or as long as a couple of hours. During this time, focus on being fully present in whatever you're doing, whether that's going for a walk, reading a book, or simply sitting in silence. The Stoics often emphasized the importance of solitude and reflection. They believed that taking time to be alone with your thoughts was essential for self-improvement and inner peace. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Turning off your phone creates the space for this kind of retreat, a chance to reconnect with yourself and the world around you. Turning off your phone also improves your relationships. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone who kept glancing at their phone? It doesn't feel good, does it? That's because divided attention signals to the other person that they aren't your priority. When you put your phone away during conversations, you're showing the other person that you value their time and presence. This small act of mindfulness can strengthen your connections and lead to more meaningful interactions. Research backs this up. A study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that the mere presence of a phone during a conversation, whether it's being used or not, can reduce the quality of social interactions. The study revealed that people who had a phone in sight during a conversation reported feeling less connected to the person they were talking to and rated the conversation as less satisfying. By turning off your phone, you eliminate this distraction and allow for deeper, more genuine connections with the people in your life. But turning off your phone doesn't just benefit your relationships, it also benefits your productivity. We often think that being constantly connected makes us more efficient. But the reality is that multitasking, like checking your phone while working, actually reduces productivity. When we switch between tasks, our brains need time to refocus, which means we're less efficient than if we had focused on one thing at a time. By turning off your phone during work or important tasks, you eliminate distractions and allow yourself to fully concentrate. This leads to higher quality work and a greater sense of accomplishment. And let's not forget the importance of sleep. One of the biggest culprits of poor sleep quality is screen time before bed. The blue light emitted by phones interferes with the production of melatonin, the hormone that regulates sleep. Studies have shown that people who use their phones right before bed have a harder time falling asleep and experience lower quality sleep overall. By turning off your phone at least 30 minutes before bed, you're giving your brain the chance to unwind and prepare for restful sleep. In conclusion, turning off your phone, even for short periods, is one of the simplest yet most effective ways to improve your well-being. The Stoics believed that presence, mindfulness, and self-control were key to living a good life, and turning off your phone aligns perfectly with these principles. It's not about rejecting technology altogether. It's about using it mindfully, in a way that enhances your life rather than detracts from it. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed by notifications or distracted by your screen, take a deep breath, turn off your phone, and reconnect with the present moment. You might be surprised at how much more peaceful and fulfilling life feels when you're not constantly plugged in. 9. Take breaks and go on trips. We've all heard the saying, "All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy." While it might sound cliché, it couldn't be more accurate. In today's fast-paced world, many of us have become so focused on productivity and meeting deadlines that we forget the importance of taking breaks and stepping away from our routines. Whether it's a simple break during your workday or an actual vacation, Giving yourself time to recharge is essential for both your mental health and overall well-being. The Stoics, despite their reputation for resilience and toughness, understood the importance of rest and renewal. They believed that balance was key to a good life. Seneca, in his writings, often discussed how taking time for leisure, what the Romans called otium, was essential for living wisely. He said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future." In other words, taking time to relax and appreciate life in the moment is a crucial part of happiness and contentment. So why is it that so many of us find it hard to take breaks? Often we're caught up in the mindset that productivity is the most important thing, and that stepping away, even briefly, is a waste of time. But here's the truth. Rest is not the opposite of productivity. It's a necessary part of it. By taking breaks, you're giving your brain and body the time they need to recharge, which makes you more effective in the long run. Let's start with the simple idea of taking short breaks during your workday. Research has shown that our brains aren't designed to focus for long stretches of time without rest. In fact, studies suggest that after about 90 minutes of continuous work, our cognitive function starts to decline. This is where the power of breaks comes in. By stepping away from your tasks, even for just 5 or 10 minutes, you allow your brain to reset, making you more focused and creative when you return to work. But taking breaks doesn't just improve your productivity, it also boosts your mood and reduces stress. One study, conducted by the University of Illinois, found that taking brief breaks during tasks helps maintain performance and reduce mental fatigue. This is especially true if your break involves some kind of physical activity, like a short walk. Even just stepping outside to get fresh air can work wonders for your mental clarity and energy levels. The Stoics would agree that being mindful of your body and its needs is key to maintaining balance in life. Beyond daily breaks, there's another level of rest that's equally important: vacations. And no, vacations aren't just a luxury, they're a necessity for long-term well-being. Taking a trip, whether it's a weekend getaway or a longer vacation, allows you to completely disconnect from your daily responsibilities and recharge on a deeper level. When you remove yourself from your usual environment, you gain a fresh perspective and return with more energy and creativity. Studies have shown that vacations reduce stress, improve mental health, and even make us more productive when we return to work. According to research published in the Journal of Happiness Studies, people who take vacations experience a significant boost in happiness and well-being, both during and after their trip. And the benefits aren't just short-term. People who take regular vacations tend to have lower levels of stress and better overall life satisfaction. But here's where the Stoic mindset comes in. It's not about escaping your problems or responsibilities. The Stoics believed that life should be lived in harmony with nature, which means taking time to rest and recharge is part of living in accordance with your natural rhythms. Marcus Aurelius himself took breaks from his demanding role as emperor, often retreating to nature or spending time in solitude to reflect and renew his spirit. These moments of pause weren't about shirking responsibility. They were about preparing himself to return to his duties with more clarity and focus. So, what does this mean for you? It means that breaks and trips aren't just indulgences. They're essential for your mental, emotional, and even physical health. If you've been feeling overwhelmed or burnt out, it might be time to step back and give yourself permission to rest. That could mean taking a few minutes to breathe and stretch during a busy day, or it could mean planning a vacation to escape the pressures of daily life. Let's be practical. Start by building small breaks into your daily routine. Set an alarm or a reminder to take a short walk, do some stretches, or just close your eyes and breathe deeply for a few minutes. These micro breaks may seem insignificant, but they can make a huge difference in your productivity and mood. Over time, you'll start to notice that you're more focused, less stressed, and better able to handle the demands of your day. And when it comes to vacations, don't put them off until you're completely burnt out. Plan them regularly, even if they're short trips. You don't have to jet off to a tropical island. Sometimes a simple road trip, a weekend camping adventure, or even a staycation can have the same effect. The key is to disconnect from your daily responsibilities and allow your mind and body to fully relax. In addition to the mental and emotional benefits, taking trips also broadens your perspective. When you travel, you're exposed to new cultures, new ideas, and new ways of seeing the world. This can be incredibly enriching and can help you return to your life with fresh insights and renewed energy. The Stoics believed in expanding one's mind and understanding the world as a whole. By traveling, you not only give yourself a break, but also grow as a person. Of course, not everyone has the luxury to take long vacations frequently, and that's okay. The key is to make the most of whatever breaks you can take, whether they're short or long. The Stoics taught us that it's not the length of time that matters, but the quality. A mindful break, where you truly disconnect and focus on rest, can be just as rejuvenating as a longer vacation. In conclusion, don't underestimate the power of rest and renewal. The Stoics understood that balance is essential for a good life, and that includes knowing when to step back and recharge. By taking breaks and going on trips, you're not just giving yourself a chance to relax. You're investing in your long-term health, happiness, and productivity. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed, remember, taking a break isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're committed to living a balanced, fulfilling life. 10. Hang out with friends and family. In the pursuit of success, personal growth, and happiness, it's easy to forget one of the most essential elements of a fulfilled life: relationships. Whether it's spending time with family, catching up with old friends, or meeting new people, the connections we build with others are what make life rich and meaningful. Yet, in the hustle and bustle of modern life, relationships are often one of the first things we neglect. We get busy, distracted, or simply assume that there will always be more time to reconnect later. But the truth is, nurturing our relationships is key to living a happy and balanced life. The Stoics understood the value of relationships. While they emphasized self-control and inner peace, they also believed that humans are social creatures, meant to live and thrive in connection with others. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reminded himself that he was part of a larger community, and that caring for others was not just a duty, but a fundamental part of life. He wrote, "Men exist for the sake of one another. Teach them then, or bear with them." This Stoic idea that we exist to support and help one another highlights the importance of relationships in living a good life. But why are relationships so important? For one, spending time with friends and family brings joy and meaning to our lives. These connections provide a sense of belonging, support, and love that can't be replicated by achievements, material success, or individual pursuits. Numerous studies have shown that strong social ties are linked to greater happiness, improved mental health, and even longer life expectancy. According to a study by Harvard researchers, close relationships, not wealth or fame, are what keep people happy throughout their lives. Those with strong connections to family, friends, and community experience less stress, have fewer health problems, and even live longer than those who are isolated. It's not just about having people around you, it's about nurturing those relationships. The Stoics believed that we should approach our interactions with others with kindness, patience, and understanding. Seneca, another influential Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "There is no enjoying the possession of anything valuable unless one has someone to share it with." This quote perfectly encapsulates the idea that life's joys are meant to be shared. Whether it's celebrating a success or navigating a challenge, having people by your side makes the experience richer and more meaningful. Unfortunately, in our busy lives, relationships often take a back seat. We might prioritize work, personal goals, or other obligations, telling ourselves that we'll make time for loved ones later. But as the Stoics would remind us, time is fleeting, and we never know how much of it we have. One of the core principles of Stoic philosophy is the awareness of mortality, or Memento Mori, the reminder that life is short and we should make the most of the time we have. This includes making time for the people who matter most. So, how can you start nurturing your relationships today? It doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes it's as simple as picking up the phone and calling a friend you haven't spoken to in a while, or inviting your family over for dinner. It's about making an effort to show up for the people in your life, even when it's inconvenient or you're feeling tired. The Stoics believed that showing kindness and love to others was part of living in accordance with nature, which they saw as interconnected and harmonious. By prioritizing relationships, you're living in alignment with this Stoic principle. Another way to nurture your relationships is by being fully present when you spend time with others. In today's digital age, it's easy to be physically with someone, but mentally somewhere else, checking your phone, thinking about work, or worrying about your to-do list. But the Stoics taught that true presence, being fully in the moment, is essential to living a good life. When you're with loved ones, make an effort to put away distractions and focus on the conversation, the laughter, or just the shared silence. This kind of presence not only strengthens your relationships, but also brings you peace and fulfillment. It's also important to remember that relationships aren't always easy. Even with the people we love the most, there will be disagreements, misunderstandings, and moments of frustration. The Stoics were well aware of this. They believed that while we can't control how others behave, we can control how we respond. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to approach difficult people with patience and empathy, understanding that everyone is doing the best they can with the knowledge and abilities they have. This doesn't mean accepting mistreatment, but rather approaching challenges in relationships with a sense of compassion and understanding. And it's not just about receiving love and support. Giving to others is equally important. The Stoics believed in contributing to the well-being of others as part of our duty as human beings. Helping others, whether it's through small acts of kindness or being there for someone during a difficult time, not only strengthens your relationships, but also brings a sense of fulfillment and purpose to your own life. When we support others, we create a ripple effect of positivity that extends beyond ourselves. So, how can you incorporate this Stoic wisdom into your relationships? Start by making time for the people who matter. Reach out, make plans, and show up, whether it's for a quick coffee with a friend or a long phone call with a family member. Prioritize these moments, because they're the ones that will stay with you long after the workday is over or the project is complete. And when you're with others, Be present, listen, engage, and appreciate the connection you're building in that moment. In conclusion, relationships are at the heart of a happy, meaningful life. The Stoics understood this, and modern science confirms it. While it's important to focus on personal growth and individual achievements, it's equally important to invest in the people around you. Friends and family bring joy, support, and richness to life that can't be found anywhere else. So, make time for them, nurture those relationships, and remember the Stoic principle that we are all here to help and support one another. As Seneca wisely said, there is no enjoying the possession of anything valuable unless one has someone to share it with. 11. Help others out. There's a simple truth that often gets overlooked in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Helping others is one of the most powerful ways to find fulfillment and happiness. Whether it's offering a kind word, lending a hand to someone in need, or giving your time and energy to support a cause, acts of kindness don't just benefit the recipient, they also enrich the giver. The Stoics believed that one of the greatest purposes of life is to contribute to the well-being of others, and modern science backs this up with numerous studies showing that people who help others are generally happier, less stressed, and more satisfied with life. The Stoics, known for their focus on self-discipline and personal responsibility, didn't believe in living in isolation from others. They emphasized the interconnectedness of all people, teaching that we have a duty to help one another and contribute to the common good. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "What is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bees." This Stoic metaphor illustrates how individual well-being is tied to the well-being of the community. Helping others is not just an act of charity, it's an essential part of living a harmonious and meaningful life. But why is helping others so important, both from a Stoic perspective and in terms of modern psychology? For one, helping others provides a sense of purpose. When you assist someone, whether it's a friend, a family member, or even a stranger, you shift your focus away from your own problems and concerns. This doesn't mean your own struggles disappear, but it gives you a break from constantly thinking about yourself. By focusing on someone else's needs, you gain perspective, often realizing that your own challenges aren't as overwhelming as they seemed. Research supports this idea. Studies have shown that people who regularly engage in acts of kindness or volunteer work experience lower levels of stress and anxiety. A study conducted by the American Psychological Association found that people who help others, whether through formal volunteering or small acts of kindness, report greater life satisfaction and mental health. This is because helping others activates the brain's reward system, releasing feel-good chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin, which boost mood and reduce stress. In a way, helping others is a natural way to improve your own well-being. The Stoics believed that virtue was the highest good, and that one of the most virtuous things you can do is to act in service of others. They understood that while we can't control everything in life, we can control how we respond to the needs of others. This is where the concept of pro-social behavior comes into play. By choosing to be kind, generous and helpful, you're exercising your own moral strength, practicing the Stoic principle of focusing on what is within your control. But helping others isn't just about grand gestures or significant acts of charity. The Stoics would argue that even the smallest act of kindness can make a big difference. Seneca, in his letters, spoke often about how the little things, listening to someone, offering a bit of advice, or simply being patient with someone's faults, are powerful acts of virtue. These everyday moments of kindness can have a ripple effect, improving not only the lives of those around you, but also creating a more compassionate and connected community. Think about a time when someone helped you. Maybe it was a friend who listened when you were going through a tough time, a colleague who offered assistance on a project, or even a stranger who held the door open when your hands were full. These small moments of kindness stick with us, often more than we realize. They remind us that we're not alone and that, despite the challenges of life, there is goodness in the world. Now, imagine how powerful it is to be that source of kindness for someone else. When you help others, you're creating those same positive moments in their lives. Whether it's offering encouragement, sharing your knowledge, or providing a helping hand, your actions can lift someone's spirits, ease their burden, or give them the strength to keep going. The Stoics believed that this kind of service to others wasn't just a nice thing to do. It was a duty. By helping others, you're fulfilling your role in the greater community and living in alignment with Stoic values. Of course, it's important to remember that helping others doesn't mean neglecting yourself. The Stoics were clear on the idea of balance. While it's essential to be generous and kind, it's equally important to take care of your own needs. You can't pour from an empty cup, as the saying goes. In fact, helping others can be more fulfilling when you're in a good place yourself, when you're rested, healthy, and mentally strong. This is why the Stoics often spoke about the importance of self-care as a foundation for serving others. So, how can you start helping others in a way that aligns with your life and values? It doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes the simplest actions have the most profound effects. Start by looking for opportunities in your everyday life to offer kindness or support. This could be as simple as checking in on a friend, offering to help a neighbor, or even just being more mindful of the needs of the people around you. The Stoics believed that helping others was about being aware of the moment and acting with intention. Don't wait for the perfect opportunity to make a big difference. Look for the small ways you can contribute every day. Another way to help others is by volunteering your time or resources to a cause you care about. Whether it's supporting a local charity, mentoring someone who could benefit from your experience, or even donating to a cause that resonates with you, these acts of service are deeply fulfilling. Not only do they help others, but they also give you a sense of purpose and connection to something larger than yourself. Helping others also has a long-term impact. Acts of kindness and generosity create a ripple effect that can extend far beyond the immediate moment. When you help someone, you might inspire them to help someone else, creating a chain of positive actions that can spread throughout a community or even across generations. The Stoics believed that this kind of interconnectedness was fundamental to the human experience. We're all in this together, and by helping each other, we build a stronger, more resilient society. In conclusion, helping others is one of the most fulfilling things you can do, not just for those you help, but for yourself as well. The Stoics knew that life is about more than just personal achievement. It's about contributing to the well-being of those around you. By offering kindness, support, and service, you're living in alignment with Stoic values and creating a life that's rich with meaning and purpose. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the fruit of this life is a good character and acts for the common good. So, look for opportunities to help others, no matter how small, and watch how it transforms both your life and the lives of those around you. 12. Focus on the good stuff you've got. It's easy to get caught up in what we don't have. We live in a world where comparison is constant, whether it's scrolling through social media or hearing about someone else's success. It often feels like there's always something missing in our own lives. Maybe it's a better job, a bigger house, or the latest gadget. And while ambition can be a good thing, always focusing on what's missing can lead to a cycle of dissatisfaction and unhappiness. This is where the power of gratitude comes in. By focusing on the good stuff you've already got, you shift your perspective and start to appreciate the richness of your life as it is right now. The Stoics were big on gratitude. They believed that contentment didn't come from getting more, but from appreciating what you already have. As Seneca wisely said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This Stoic teaching reminds us that constantly chasing after more will never lead to happiness. True wealth, according to the Stoics, is found in being satisfied with what you have and in making the most of the present moment. But why is it so hard to focus on what we have? For one, human nature tends to focus on what's lacking. Our brains are wired to notice gaps, whether it's in our careers, relationships, or material possessions. This can be a useful survival mechanism, driving us to improve and seek out better opportunities. However, when taken too far, this mindset can lead to perpetual dissatisfaction, making it impossible to appreciate the good things right in front of us. That's where practicing gratitude comes in. Gratitude isn't just a fleeting feeling, it's a mindset, a way of approaching life that helps you see the positives rather than always focusing on what's missing. And science backs this up. Studies have shown that people who regularly practice gratitude experience higher levels of happiness, better physical health, and even stronger relationships. According to research from the University of California, people who kept a gratitude journal reported feeling more optimistic, had fewer physical complaints, and slept better than those who didn't. In short, gratitude is one of the simplest, most effective tools for improving your well-being. The Stoics believed that gratitude should be practiced daily, not just when things are going well. Marcus Aurelius, in his meditations, often reminded himself to be grateful for the simplest things: waking up, having food to eat, being surrounded by loved ones. He understood that life is full of challenges and uncertainties, but by focusing on the good in each moment, we can cultivate a sense of peace and contentment no matter what's happening around us. He wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours." One of the most effective ways to start focusing on the good stuff you've got is to practice mindfulness. When you take a moment to pause and reflect on the present, you'll notice things you might have overlooked, like the comfort of a warm bed, the sound of birds outside your window, or the simple pleasure of a hot cup of coffee. These small, everyday moments are easy to take for granted, but they're often the very things that bring joy and contentment when we take the time to appreciate them. Another powerful practice